When my wife Kiki was giving birth to our daughter, one of the requests that she made to the hospital staff was not to use the word pain, but instead to frame everything in terms of intensity. So they would ask, like, how intense is this feeling for you right now on a scale of 1 to 10? And in moments when contractions were really powerful, she would say, wow, this is so intense. And that experience really helped frame something important for me about life, where life is just about moving through waves of intensity. Any emotional experience, whether it's joy or love or collapse or defeat, can just be viewed through the lens of intensity. From that perspective, being present with life, to fully engage with life, just means breathing into the full intensity of life in any moment. There was a moment early on after Emma was born where I noticed myself carrying her, putting her down, but my system was sped up a little bit. I was moving a little faster than I needed to be. And when I slowed back down, rewound, picked her back up, and asked myself, what's the experience that feels too intense right now that I'm avoiding? I tuned into it. It was actually that I felt so much love for this little being that it felt way too intense to feel. And so my nervous system was speeding up to avoid that feeling of love. And by slowing down, breathing to intensity, I could let my heart kind of break open with the amount of love that I was feeling. And there was also this other moment where we were having a long day. Nothing was quite working out. I was just feeling so defeated. I was driving, baby and mom are in the back of the car. And I just felt myself collapsed in my awareness, not really receptive to any connection, almost like pushing away. And then I realized defeat is just another form of intensity. I can conceptualize defeat as an intense experience and just be with that intensity. And in that moment of seeing, I let myself breathe into my body, expand my awareness, feel how intense defeat was. And that defeat just washed through my body. I started crying while I was driving, but after it moved through, I was able to reconnect to myself. I was able to reach the connection with Kiki, and I was back to a state of ground. And it's actually not that different from moments when we stub our toe and we feel our awareness contract, and all our awareness then becomes a pain on that stubbed toe. And if pain is taking up all our awareness, it's very easy to feel like that's our entire world. But in that moment, we can actually breathe out and feel the rest of our body, expand our awareness so that the pain in the toe is only just a smaller fraction of our total experience. And then the pain has a chance to move through and resolve. And feet is very much the same way. The experience of love is very much the same way. With a new baby, there's a lot of intensity, and sometimes the intensity leads to some rupture and some arguments or some fights. And it's easy when we're triggered to make it really about the other person. Like our awareness collapses, you did something to me. But actually trigger is just another form of intensity where we can just breathe into like, oh my gosh, this energy that's rising in me, this anger, this frustration that's rising in me is so intense. And from that perspective, it's not really about the other person. It's really just about this energy that's moving through our body and about being present to the annoyance and frustration that we're feeling, separate from how the other person might be behaving. And when we're able to adopt that frame where it's trigger, the anger or the frustration, wow, this is so intense, and I can still breathe through it, that brings us into this deeper sense of presence with life. So one of my big takeaways as a new father is that anytime I'm noticing myself avoiding or resisting some emotional experience, I can just ask myself, how can I breathe into this intensity? Or if I notice myself kind of rushing through or my mind kind of lost in thought, what's the experience in this moment that feels too intense that I'm actually avoiding? I can take a moment, pause, and be with the intensity of the present moment. And I can feel how that makes me just feel more dropped in, more grounded, more here as a result.